Okay, what's up, everybody? This is Chuck again with Extreme Gains. I was just gonna make a video, but I'm too excited, so I thought I'd go live here for a second. Um, Let me show you something. I just did a live stream where I was just basically messing with the chart, messing with the algo fractal. Um, and then I saw this, and it's crazy because this was my original projection way back when I first picked up on the algo and what fractal patterns it would print out on the chart. And I kind of diverted away from that because there were some what I deemed at the time abnormal movements, and I actually called the downside, which I thought there was some sort of reversion that was happening or diversion that was happening. But check this out. I just kind of came across this. I don't know what the easiest way to show you this is. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. Hold on, let me pull up my, give me a second. I'm going to pull up my stream thing so I make sure I'm on here. I'm going to make sure I'm good to go. People commenting on the first stream that they missed it. Well, here I am again. Come on, get in here. There we go. Watch in control room. All right. Let's make sure I'm on and we're live and everything's good. And then check this out. This shit stoked me out as soon as I saw this shit. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, am I tripping or is this legit? Like, all right. Check this out here, right? June run up. Okay, this is what I've been basing obviously most people have the cycles, the algo fractal patterns. This is the algorithm. This is what it prints out, and as we know, it's been doing it again, right? But there's the community, the TA community, the cycle community, the fractal community, the Wyckoff community. Everybody's trying to find where the hell we're at in this thing, and I think we're exactly where we were supposed to be when we knew we were going to run up, and we were anticipating the breakout here and the run up, right? We were anticipating this, but then this happened, right? Like we had this shape in here, which we all thought was this shape. We had this pullback, which we thought was this, and then we had this, which was going to be, this movement is where we all thought we were, and then we would make this, and then we would go, right? But I think this is what I had before, but check this out. I want you to see these movements. Something I've noticed this for a while now with AMC is the movements are becoming more and more dramatic. They're becoming elongated, and I believe this is all part of it, right? This is all part of throwing us off as retail. We're not supposed to know where a stock's going to go, right? And when it's going to go there. And we started to, and a lot of us did and still do. And I think this is what's been going on. And this is part of algo fractal patterns. It's an area, so these movements within the pattern can be exaggerated, and I think that's what's going on. Now this downside move, there's a few potential reasons as to why it happened, but nonetheless, I want you to see this, right? Let's start here. I'm fucking stoked, man. Look at this shit, right? So here's our pennant, our symmetrical pennant support line, right? I notice here, this is the fractal pattern that I always see playing out, right? The internal of it and everything, but we have a descending wedge, right? Off of the start of the fractal pattern. And this is the pattern identifier for me. As soon as I see this, I typically know we're entering a new cycle of that pattern, right? And obviously until we got here, we had this, and like I explained in the other video, I think this is how they catch us off guard because we're used to seeing this. We're used to seeing major downside. Then we're used to seeing, whatever it is, 3 months, 4 months of whatever you want to call it, consolidation or base bottom build out or whatever. But So we're in it. We make that, then we go into the descending wedge, right? And we have our movements within this, right? We have this that we break down through. We have the little triangle. Then we have the break out of the descending wedge, still in the overall macro symmetrical pennant. We break out of that descending wedge and we go right up literally to the resistance of the pennant and get perfectly rejected, right? As well as, and I want to point this out, the support lines, like I was explaining before, if you pull your support lines longer, they take you to future price movement, which is what this did. And this actually will take us not only to the breakout high and the resistance, but it'll also take us to the new fractal high, and then that's what leads us to our run up, right? So I just wanted to point that out because we're going to see that again here in a second. So perfect rejection off of the pennant. We come back down, we break out of the pennant support, right? But we get caught here at this support. This is, and if you look, you know, resistance, resistance, and then we break through, and then we have support, support, false breakdown, support, 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 right? And then we make our move here to our next algo fractal pattern, the beginning, and then then we have our downside. Now this back then was a 25-ish% downside, right? And then that's when we took off when we blew up to $77, okay? But what I really want you to focus on here now is the movements that are contained within this, right? Once we, and you can see where we break out, literally right at the point at the end of the pennant, right? We break out, we go up, they pin us at the top, we come back down, we go back up, right? We come back down, and we have a little red back up before we make the fall, okay? Up, down, a point here, a little red up point, and then the downside. Look at this. Exact same movements, but exaggerated, right? We break out, and I can pull this down, but it's essentially the same. And I don't even know if I have this exactly right, but I believe this is, we break out. I'm sorry, let me go back. Sorry, man, I'm excited as hell. Okay, so here's our beginning, same thing. Descending wedge, our first move down, our little triangle, our big triangle that breaks out of the descending wedge, the pennant resistance, perfect rejection, back down, it breaks out of the wedge support to this support line, same thing. We have support, we have support, we have support, we have breakdown of support, we have rejection, we have support again, we have support again, support again, support again. Okay, same thing. So we break out, and again, point out this, we pull the support line. If we pull this support line the whole way out, and I believe, you know, this is close enough for me right here, we pull that out, it brings us to this next high, the breakout of the descending wedge after the bottom build out here, and then it would bring us essentially almost close to here, which would be the high of the fractal pattern, right? But here we go up, we break down, and we go back up, we come back down and make this little red hook, and then we have downside. Do you see that? We go up, we come down, we go back up, we come down for this little hook, this little point, and then we have downside. I think we are in the exact place that we were anticipating being at. It's just what has happened is they've elongated and exaggerated these movements to throw us off. But it's the exact same thing, and they can do this. They can keep the algo running without changing it or diverting to another algo, or they can keep the algo running, but they can insert volume on both sides, upside, downside, to exaggerate these movements, and at first glance, or while we're watching daily, or by the minute, or by the hour, you start feeling as if we're not, that the algo's diverted, that we're doing something else now, when in reality, I don't think we are. I think the algo is still in play. I think the exact algo is still in play. I think that it's possible that this is the exact movement that this is, except it's been handled with more volume to exaggerate these movements, both to the upside and the downside. Primarily the downside. Had this not been such a downside, this would have been made right here, and then this would have been made here, and then obviously our downside here would have only came to this support, which is where this came down to, right? The pennant support, just about, and then it took off from there. So, and then what's ironically crazy and funny about this is the support that this has now dropped down to is the ongoing running support from the very bottom pennant, from the first pennant that we had, and the first fractal, algo fractal, that it printed out during this time that I've been in it, and I think most of us, from January until June, and then now from June till now. But look where it came down to. Literally came down to this support. It broke the last resort support here, and we came down and hit this overall long-term uptrend pennant support. I think that this movement, I think that this was volume inserted, selling back and forth by the institutions. It's one last massive dip before this rip. I could be completely wrong, but when I saw this and when I was looking at the movements on smaller time frames, they match up perfectly. It's the exact same movement that is contained within this. The exact same movements that are contained in this. Look, up. I'm going to move this. Look at this shit. Man, I wish I could have these things like... See, I'm never going to get them in the same frame. Alright, there I go. Look at this shit. Up, down, down, back up, back down and a little point back up, back down and a little point back up, and then downside. I think this is it, people. This is not financial advice. Please do not take it as such. I'm just a dude that likes to look at charts and sees things and can pick out movements and shapes and patterns and things that repeat themselves. Please do not take this as financial advice, but with that being said, in my opinion, after looking at this and discovering this and looking at the OBV, it was brought to my attention last night. I looked at the OBV. This makes sense, people. This makes sense. I feel like this is how they duped us. And this is their last ditch effort to get as many out as they can before we take off. And you know what they say, the bigger the dip, the bigger the rip. And honest to God, I think this is it. I think what their purpose was to give us a little bit of diversion or a different direction that for us to look at and make us think that it was doing something different when in fact, in reality, it was doing the exact thing that we all thought it was doing. Just exaggerated, more dramatic movement for effect. And if I'm right, and if this is right, we blast off this week. We leg up this week. We leg up. I'm looking at my calendar. The 6th is Monday. How much movement do we have here? In between. The 19th. 20, 21. 21 was a Friday. And then Monday. 19, 20, 21. So on the 4th day. So if this is the bottom, and it's going to make this same shape here. 6, 7, 8. I have that perfectly. I think Thursday the 9th, by Thursday the 9th, we're gone. I don't know. Same movements. Put that in your head, this movement in your head. Same location. Look. Same movement. Same location. Right? Same breakout area. And it just so happens we have this support trending upward the entire time. What better way to pump fake? Remember the head fake tweet? What better way to head fake? Knowing that this is where our support is. It keeps us in this macro pennant moving forward in hindsight, right after we're gone, and we're up here in hindsight. The anticipation was here. A little bit of accumulation for them. Right? They get to scare people out of their positions. They throw the last ditch effort at shorting it when the market's red. And, I mean, my gosh, we're at, had we only come down to where we should have, or where anticipated here, we would have blasted off somewhere around $42. So instead of 42, now we're under 30. I know it's not much, but it's enough. Along with the positions that they collected here. I don't know. We'll see, but this is what I'm looking at now. Same movements, same place, same breakouts. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Appreciate y'all watching. Let me know in the comments. Like, follow, subscribe, Twitter, YouTube. We'll be online.